when you got to put it on wax. Well, let's get some predictions in, man. Jackson, you can lead it off, man. Give me your game mode and then your final score prediction, and give me your MVP of the game, Jackson.
Well, it's like I said, if you want to have a really good day, you got to have the running game rocking and rolling like you did last Saturday. And I think Alabama is going to win this one in a 38-17 fashion in Tuscaloosa on ABC.
Okay, on ABC. Jeffrey, give me your thoughts, man. What this game look like to you, and give me final score prediction.
This game's intriguing to me because we blew out Wisconsin last year, but again, it was unfortunate for the Badgers that they lost Tyler Van Dyke in the game when he did. I think the game could have been closer. I don't know how much closer, but when he got hurt, it completely changed the trajectory of the game. Now you've got Wisconsin with some momentum. Maybe, again, Danny O'Neil gives them a spark. They looked better last week than they did week one. So Wisconsin has some, energy right now, and maybe you would like for on their side, hey, get revenge on Alabama. You always have that regard, right? They always say. Problem is Bryant-Denny is a really tough place to play. And also when you look at where we've lost, we have not lost at home under DeBoer. We've been losing all our games on the road. We do not lose at home. So I think that our home crowd is going to be extremely difficult for Wisconsin. I mean, the thing is, the entire SEC, the bigger schools, the crowds are insane. They just are. And the Big Ten has great crowds too, but the SEC, the crowds are insane. And Wisconsin is a big enough opponent, is a big enough team that Alabama fans are going to show up for this game, and it's going to be an intense environment. I think Wisconsin's going to have a lot of issues with that. If this game was at Wisconsin, I'd be a little more worried right now, even though we won the way we did last year. If it was another road game, because of the fact that you have Alabama under DeBoer really struggling on the road. We have not done well on the road outside of a couple of rare instances. So I think the combination of us being at home, Wisconsin's O-line not probably going to be able to protect them well enough. And even though we have issues right now still with our team, we've got so many young guys, budding right now. They're getting better. They're improving. I think Wisconsin's going to play better than last year. I do think they'll play better, but I'm going to go with a 34-14 win for Alabama. I think Wisconsin will stay in the game for 2.5 quarters, and then Alabama will push it open in the last quarter and a half of the game and get a pretty comfortable win. But I do think Wisconsin, like I said, that will be a good performance, I think, especially if that pans out the way I think, where they hang for a bit. Because, a lot of people do give credit for that. I think Fickle would deserve credit if Wisconsin is able to hang around for a while.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it, Jeffrey. No doubt. And I will say, though, you got a 20-point win. I got a 21-point win. Like, that's pretty huge. As they say, great minds think alike. Coach, what is your prediction for Alabama?
I was gonna swing it to Ryan first, man. We got to hear the guests come in before I give my subtle take. Go ahead, Ryan, and give me your final score prediction, your final drive, and how this game looks. What do you see this prediction look? What do you see this game shaping out to be this weekend in T-Town?
Yeah, listen, this is a really tough one for the Badgers. As confident as I can be, and I saw someone in your chat talk about Kekahuna and Darion Dupree. Wisconsin does have some playmakers. Tretch Kekahuna is a guy who had a 61-yard touchdown off reverse last week. Wisconsin can do some things offensively. The offensive system looks a lot better than it did last year. Phil Longo just was not a fit in Wisconsin for whatever reason. The air raid did not work there. They've gone back to more of a running system, misdirection. I think there's some things they can do there. I tend to think the worst thing that happened to Wisconsin is Bama losing to FSU. I really think if Bama had taken care of business there, like a lot of people thought they would, then they whip Monroe. Maybe they overlook Wisconsin a little bit, but you already kind of had your one bad performance of the year. I think they're probably going to be a little more locked in because of that. I think that's not a good thing for Wisconsin. And the offensive line has just had issues. Like, if you told me our starting center was healthy, and I knew he was, which I don't think he's going to be, I feel better about it. But as banged up as the line has been, I worry about the front seven from Bama. I worry about the crowd noise. There were snap issues last week at home with the backup center. So I think Bama takes this. They wear Wisconsin out. Too much pressure on Danny O'Neil. He probably forces them into a couple interceptions, which then sets Bama up for short fields. Give me like 30, 4-13, somewhere in there. I think it's maybe closer in the first half. I just don't like the way Wisconsin's offensive line has played. I will caveat it with one thing, though. If the center is back in there, it has been I did get a kind of a message that, hey, he could have played last week. It does make Wisconsin a lot better on the interior. I think they can run the ball a little bit more. If he's healthy, I think it's closer, more like 34-20.
Okay. I like that. Looking at the production in the last 2 weeks, one thing, regardless of who the center was, you had similar production. Regardless of who the opponent was, you had the same type of production. In your run game, both in your run and your pass game. Like you said, them going back to a more traditional, balanced style of play calling offensively, I think kind of makes this game a little bit more different, and it keeps it a lot more balanced for Wisconsin. My thing with Alabama is if this team can carry over momentum offensively with the run game and get explosives in the run game early, this is not going to be a 34-point game. This is the offense. If you allow Ryan Grubb to get a run game going early, he's averaged over 42 points a game. So and that's run game 150 yards plus as far as total yards gain. He's averaging 40 plus points in those games. So I don't know if Wisconsin has the depth on the defensive side to withstand the type of carries and the amount of pin and pull that we're going to throw that we've seen thrown out the past week. For Alabama's offensive front, I don't see it being a problem. Can Wisconsin play aggressive up front with their lack of depth on the defensive side? I don't think so. So that'll force you all to kind of play safe early on and kind of contain things. That's what I believe we're going to see. And if that doesn't work out for Wisconsin, this could turn out ugly real early. Do I see it turning out ugly? I don't consider 42-13 ugly when it's a late breakaway, when it's like a closing out the second quarter going into halftime, Alabama 21, Wisconsin 9, something like that, with Alabama capitalizing on 3 out of maybe 6 possessions. Because I truly do believe Wisconsin to have an opportunity to slow the game down. We'll see if Alabama's defense has stiffened up as far as their run support or run defense, making tackles, getting off the field on third down. If Wisconsin can extend drives, maybe not get points, but extend drives, this game could seem closer than what it is going into the half. And so I'm going to go with my final score. I'm going to say 42-13 Alabama. After putting up 79 points, I don't think this offense slows down much for the next few weeks to come. They showed some things on film, especially in the sliding and the protections, man, on the pass pro from week 1 to week 2, that I think is going to have a lot of defensive coordinators scratching their head, especially with the personnel that they did it with as far as the offensive line rotation. So those are things that we'll dive into as far as our film study going later into the week. But I think right now, like you said, just the mismatch in talent, the mentality that's coming behind the programs, you're going to see a game like you should expect from Alabama. But if somehow or another this Wisconsin team comes out and dials up a few plays early and kind of punches Alabama in the mouth, we've seen this team struggle to regain momentum and take over. So don't count out Wisconsin. We've seen them make plays in week 1 and week 2. They, although it be Mississippi Tennessee State, and I forget who the other opponent was, Miami, Ohio. Yeah, the first week. So that's still competition. That's still players putting on their shoes, lacing up their cleats, and getting out on the field. And you have to execute against an opponent. So no disrespect there, but I do think this is kind of an overmatched situation coming into week 3. Now, if this was week 9, muster something up, put something together based off your identity. Stop us if you can, but this is week 3. Still answer some questions from both sides. I think we have less questions to answer. Give us the advantage. Alabama for the big win. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, roll.
Yes, sir.